All right, today we're going to explore a pretty powerful idea that science and spirituality, they might actually be on the exact same quest. You know, a shared journey out of the darkness of the unknown and into the light of real understanding.
So let's just start with this staggering fact from modern physics. We now know that most of our universe is a complete mystery to us. We call it dark matter, dark energy, and that word, dark, well, it brings up a really fundamental human emotion, doesn't it? Fear. For thousands of years, we've instinctively connected the dark with the unknown, and the unknown with what we're afraid of.
So, our journey really begins right here, with what this slide calls rulum and ariamium, which translates to darkness and ignorance. We're going to explore this ancient relationship between physical darkness and, the metaphorical darkness of just not knowing.
I mean, it is basically coded into our DNA, right? Move toward pleasure, move away from pain. It's a fundamental survival instinct, and the unknown has always represented potential pain, danger, failure, you name it. So, of course, we instinctively shy away. And what's the ultimate unknown? It's darkness.
And this leads us to a really powerful metaphor. Ignorance is its own kind of darkness. It's that feeling of not being able to see clearly, a state where fear can just take root and thrive. It's why we stumble, why we make mistakes, not because we're clumsy, necessarily, but because we literally can't see the path ahead of us.
So, how did we first start to push back against all this darkness? Well, that brings us to our second chapter, Arivan Mudha Pori, or the first spark of knowledge. And in this case, it was a very, very literal spark.
Just try to imagine being an early human, seeing a wildfire for the very first time, this terrifying, completely uncontrollable force. You might have thought it was some kind of punishment from the heavens. But just seeing it, that wasn't the breakthrough. The real leap, the game changer, was understanding it.
And this right here, this is the blueprint for pretty much all human discovery. It always starts with fear of something you just don't understand. But then that fear gives way to wisdom, that aha moment, the realization that this powerful thing can actually be harnessed. That leads to creation, learning how to make it yourself. And finally, you get progress, using that creation to fundamentally improve every single aspect of your life.
Now think about what that really means. The first person to purposefully create fire. They weren't just a survivor. They were, in a very real sense, the world's first scientist. They observed, they experimented, they learned, and they applied that new knowledge to completely change their world.
Okay, so this fundamental journey of seeking knowledge, well, it eventually splits onto two pretty distinct paths, which brings us to our third section, Idupadegol Urupayanam, or two paths, one journey. And let's see just how surprisingly parallel they really are.
Now this is where things get really interesting. Just look at how these two worlds map onto each other. The scientific method, we're all pretty familiar with that process. You observe something, you collect data, you form a theory, and finally, you arrive at a law or a truth. Now look at the spiritual path. It starts with bhakti, or devotion. It moves on to seva, which is selfless service, and it all culminates in jnana, which is true wisdom. The point here is that both of these are rigorous, structured processes for discovering truth.
And this quote just puts it perfectly. Scientists are modern sages. Sages were ancient scientists. It suggests that, whether you're in a laboratory or deep in meditation, the fundamental goal is exactly the same: to peel back the layers of reality and understand how things truly work. Both are simply seekers of truth.
But, and this is a big but, there's a crucial warning here. These two paths can't just exist in isolation from each other. Science without a sense of spirituality, knowledge without a deeper purpose or feeling, can become incredibly destructive. Think of advanced weapons or rampant pollution. And on the flip side, spirituality without science, worship without knowledge, can become blind and dogmatic. Either path all on its own is dangerously incomplete.
So this brings us to today and to our fourth section, Jnana Marabu, or the legacy of wisdom. Because we are the inheritors of thousands of years of this quest for knowledge. So what does that legacy actually mean for us?
40. What does that number mean? Well, that's the number of years it took the astronomer Johannes Kepler 40 years of nightly observation and grueling, painstaking math just to prove one single fact, that the Earth revolves around the sun.
Just let that sink in for a minute.
Kepler's entire life's work is something that you and I can look up on our phones in 2 seconds. We are literally, and I mean literally, standing on the shoulders of giants, benefiting from entire lifetimes of struggle. We are the living legacy of their incredible search for light.
But here's the thing, this inheritance isn't free. It comes with a profound responsibility. If the wisdom of the ages is right there at our fingertips, what is our obligation? How does that change the way we should act, the way we ought to live?
And this brings us right to our final section, Meiporul Kanbada Arivu, which means finding truth is wisdom. How do we honor this incredible legacy and continue the journey toward the light in our own lives?
But there's a very modern trap, isn't there? With so much information flying around, it's just so easy to get sidetracked. We can spend so much energy analyzing and judging other people, instead of turning that focus inward and starting our own personal quest for truth.
But here is the core promise, and it's not presented as a belief, but as an experienced reality. The universe rewards a genuine seeker. If you truly, honestly search for understanding, that search will not be for nothing. You will find it.
So the final call to action is actually simple, but it's also incredibly profound. To push back the darkness of ignorance in our own lives and in the world around us, the path is clear. We have to become seekers of knowledge ourselves.
And we'll leave you with this beautiful piece of ancient wisdom from the Tamil text, the Thirukkural, which just perfectly sums up our entire journey today. To discern the truth in every matter, from every source, that is wisdom. See, it's not about knowing everything. It's about developing the ability to find the truth, no matter where it might be. That is the quest.